timeshares are difficult to resell. Understand a lot of people aren't looking to buy a resold timeshare. They're basically, guilted or forced, whatever word you want to use, into a timeshare to begin with. So most people aren't actively just like, I want to buy a timeshare. Let me go online and find a timeshare, right? Like I said, I've just heard about timeshares before this week, right? Like I never really dived deep to really understand what they were. And so it definitely wasn't in my head when it came to vacationing and like I'm taking a couple of trips at the end of this year. Like my first thought is, let me get a timeshare, right? No, it's like, okay, let me save the money and pay for these trips on my own, figure out where I'm gonna stay and do all that good stuff. But it's not like, I'm going to LA, so let me find a timeshare in LA so I can go to LA every single year. Yo, it's goody, Latrell in a hoodie, and welcome to another episode of the Brother Next Door podcast, where we talk about finance, personal development, and skills to get you further in life through actual steps and my own personal experiences. In this episode, we're talking about timeshares. I'm not gonna lie, I honestly lied to you. This isn't from personal experience. This is not my personal experience here, but I was talking with a friend earlier this week, and we got on the topic of timeshares, and it made me go down this rabbit hole of researching timeshares. So that's what I want to talk about. I personally just got none but a negative connotation about timeshares, but never really fully understood what they are. And so that's why I'm bringing it to you guys today, so you guys have a better understanding of what timeshares are. So let's get right into it. What is a timeshare? A timeshare is a shared ownership of a vacation property, right? So this can be a resort. This could be a home. This could be a condominium. This could be an apartment. This could be even campgrounds, right? Understand a lot of hotel chains use this model of timesharing. And so understand, first of all, it's a $10.5 billion industry as of 2022. And they have gained all that from only 1,541 U.S. resorts. So it's not anything small by any means. Like, this is a very big industry. One thing that everybody talks about is their tactics of getting people into timeshares and how aggressive they are with them. Like I said, I've never experienced it. I've done a little bit of traveling in my day, but I've never experienced, going to a timeshare meeting or being involved anywhere close to one of those meetings. So understand, timeshares are sold by just a couple of companies: Hyatt, Hilton, Disney, etc. Understand the average cost of a timeshare is $24,000 for a week. Think about that, $24,000 for a week. And on top of that $24,000, then you also have to pay maintenance fees every single month, which can amount to over thousands of dollars every single year. So is it a great deal? That's really up to you and what you value. Do you value going to the same place, right? Sometimes shares are just one property, right? Like I was saying, a shared ownership of property, or, like getting into the resorts and all that side. Do you value Hilton specifically and want to travel to their different resorts every single year and pay, around $24,000 or however much it is every single year for, a certain amount of points or whatever model they're using? That's up to you and what you value. But to me, $24,000 just for a week of vacation every single year, obviously it's over the course of multiple years. Obviously, like I said, you got maintenance fees. It is basically like a loan, so you're not paying that all up front, but that's a lot of money just to be vacationing because you're restricted. Let's be real. You're restricted to whatever that company offers, whatever is contained within that deal or that contract you're signed. You're restricted to a certain extent. And so you're paying all that money to be restricted, whether they have, 20, 30, 50 resorts across the world. You're still restricted within that contract. And so to pay all that money just for a week or however much time you get doesn't really make sense to me personally. So understand there are different types of models, like I was saying earlier. You have fixed term. So understand with that, that's saying, hey, I want this house, or I want this apartment, or I want this condominium, whatever the case may be, this week, every single year. That's space. Understand it's very hard to change the weeks. It's not very flexible when it comes to fixed. Next, you have floating timeshares. So it's the same idea. You basically have, one location, one house, or one spot, one piece of property, but you can adjust the days in which you want to go, or the week you want to go. Usually it's around a week, but it can also be multiple weeks if you want to pay more for that. But that's optional, floating. But understand, if it's floating for you, it's floating for other people. And during those high busy times, it's probably going to be a lot harder to get the date that you want. So keep that in mind when it comes to floating timeshares. And then you have the points, which I mentioned earlier. And so that's just like, hotel points or anything along those lines. You pay, you get a certain amount of points, and then you use those points throughout the year. So that's another model you can use when it comes to timeshares. Then there are also different types. So you have the shared deeded ownership. So that's where you're actually owning, right? The deed to a house. You're actually owning a part of that vacation home or whatever type of property it is. And you're owning a fraction of it. And so, yes, that's a little bit more valuable than the next one I'm about to talk about, because you're actually owning a part of that property. Or you could do shared lease, which you're leasing it from somebody else, just like how you go out on your own and lease a property, right? You can do the same thing with this, where you share lease, a fractional lease with multiple people throughout the course of a year. And, you guys decide on when y'all get that property and for how long. Or if you go to a company, you abide by that contract that you guys sign. In both cases, you're basically taking out a loan, right? Like I was saying, to be able to vacation, then you also have to pay the maintenance fees. So what are the pros? What are the cons? The pros, you get a familiar location every year without any unpleasant surprises. Yes and no. If you're that type of person, hey, you want to go to Jamaica every single year. That's our spot. We love it. That's the only spot we want to go. Okay, cool. You can have that, consistency. Obviously, with hotels and stuff, you're going to have a lot more amenities when it comes to timeshares. You're going to have, better quality compared to, going to, say, an Airbnb or something like that. Yes, there are a lot of nice Airbnbs, a lot of, hosts keep it nice, keep it clean, keep it, together. But there are some cases when it's not the case. And there's some cases when it's not the case for hotels as well. And so you have to keep that in mind. Is, yes, great, you get the same location, you get better services or more services, more amenities, but that's not always guaranteed, right? It always looks good on the brochure, right? But it's not always. But when you step into that hotel room, or you step into, wherever you're going to be staying, it might be a little different, right? Resort style amenities and services, like I was just saying, you get more amenities because they have more money to give you better amenities. They're already established. They already, have a lot of liquidity, and so they can provide you better amenities. But you could do a lot of research and find just as good amenity with better prices without having to go do a timeshare, in my opinion. Avoids the hassle of booking a new vacation every year. Why, in my opinion, why would you want to go to the same place every year? I want variety. If I go on the East Coast one year, I want to go on the West Coast the next year. If I go to Hawaii one year, okay, now I want to go to Europe the next. Like, I don't want to be, the world's too big to just fly all the way to one place every single year. Why not diversify? Why not change it up? Why not experience different cultures, different lifestyles, different, whatever the case may be, in other places of the world? So those are the pros. based off online research. The cons, ongoing costs can be significant. Like I said, maintenance up in the thousands. So you got people, and on top of the maintenance, you still have to pay that loan every single month. And so, yeah, you can pay it off early. Yeah, you can pay it in full, whatever, but you still have maintenance costs. And that's what's really getting people, because they sign up for it when they're doing all good and, work is great and they're never getting fired. And then when the economy goes sour 2-3 years later, they're still on the hook for amenity fees, whether they paid off the loan or not. And so now they're trying to get rid of it, right? And they can't. And so that's something to consider, is you still have ongoing fees when you purchase these timeshares. Little flexibility when it comes to changing lease or the contract. Understand it is a contract. You are signing a contract saying, hey, I'm going to pay you this much in exchange. I want to be able to rent out this villa or rent out this hotel room once a week, every single year for a certain amount of years. That's a contract. And so to be able to change these contracts can be very difficult. Timeshares are difficult to resell. Understand, a lot of people aren't looking to buy a resold timeshare. They're basically, guilted or forced, whatever word you want to use, into a timeshare to begin with. So most people aren't actively just like, I want to buy a timeshare. Let me go online and find a timeshare, right? Like I said, I've just heard about timeshares before this week, right? Like I never really dived deep to really understand what they were. And so it definitely wasn't in my head when it came to vacationing, and like I'm taking a couple of trips this at the end of this year. Like my first thought is, let me get a timeshare, right? No, it's like, okay, let me save the money and pay for these trips on my own, figure out where I'm gonna stay and do all that good stuff. But it's not like, I'm going to LA, so let me find a timeshare in LA so I can go to LA every single year. That's not my thought process, and that's not a lot of people's thought process. So consider that before getting into a timeshare. It can be very difficult to get out of a timeshare. Last but not least, aggressive marketing practices. Like I said, they will hound you. I've seen a couple videos, I've seen a couple reviews. They will hound you when it comes to going into those meetings and signing up for a timeshare. And so keep that in mind. If you're one of those people that just can't handle pressure and just get peer pressured into buying stuff, don't even go. I don't care if they're offering you a whole weekend vacation, all you gotta do is show up to one meet. Don't do it. Because if you're that type of person that's down to go into peer pressure, you're going to end up spending thousands of dollars on something you don't truly need. Now, for some people, hey, if it's right for you, you got the funds, you can afford it, you want to go to the same place, or like I said, you want to go to, one of these hotels and sign up for their model and be able to use, those different resorts and use that every single year, cool, go for it. You can afford it, great, do it. But if you don't have it like that, I'd strongly consider you looking at other alternatives and cheaper options when it comes to taking vacations. Understand there are 3 ways to get out of timeshares. You can resell it online through resale websites. They have websites specifically for reselling your timeshare, right? And so you can go online, and some people, look, it's so bad that people are reselling them for free. So basically you just get the timeshare and all you have to do is pay for the maintenance and whatever they have left on the mortgage or whatever the case may be, the loan. And so you can go that route, but understand there's a problem when somebody's reselling something for free. Multiple people, a lot of people are reselling their timeshare for free. So think about, just really think about that before going into it. Is people are just giving them away for free. Next, you can default on payments. So they say if you paid off your loan and only have to pay maintenance every year, you might. It's a possibility for foreclosure. Now, they might take it up and then mess up your credit and do all that stuff. They might come after you, or they might not. It's a coin flip. So take that into consideration. They might do it, they might not. It's more so of a scare tactic. But you got to think about that because, like I said, it's a hassle trying to get out of it once you're already in. You signed the contract. And so when people are trying to get out or they can't afford it, it's like, there's not much I can do. And those companies aren't doing much to really help you get out of them. And so take that into consideration. Not all companies are like that. Some of them do care about their brand, do care about their reputation, and will, do what they can to get you out. But most of them, nah, they want their money, and they're gonna do what they can to get their money. So consider that when it comes to timeshares. And last but not least is timeshare exit companies. And understand the problem and risk with this is there is a lot of fraud and a lot of issues going on with this market specifically. So what they're doing is saying, hey, yeah, we'll sell your timeshare for you. Give us this upfront fee, red flag right there, upfront fee, and we'll sell it for you. So once they get your upfront fee, they're gone. They're out, and they don't sell your timeshare for you. So now you're even more in the hole, and you still have that timeshare that you have paid for. And so think about that. Be very careful. Be very careful when it comes to getting into it. Make sure you do your research before getting into it. Make sure you really read that document. Really read that, that contract before you get into it. And make sure you have different avenues for getting out before you even sign. Before you even get into it, make sure you have avenues to possibly get out if you absolutely have to. But that's what timeshares are, family. If y'all notice, that's why I waited until the end, because y'all the real OGs. We're in a different space, in a different place. I know y'all see the documentary style cameras, camera angles, background. Let me know if y'all like it. If y'all want me to go back to the other spot, I can go back to the other spot. We're gonna try one more angle, one more location next week. And so we'll see if y'all like that. But we're gonna try different stuff. We're gonna try getting the content better. We're gonna try delivering better and better content for you guys. That way you guys can enjoy not only the content, but also the scenery behind the content, right? Because every piece matters to me. Every piece matters to, everybody. And so I just want you guys to get the best content possible. So with that, y'all take it easy. Peace.